Hi everyone, I'm Panos. I'm a co-founder of NetBiz, and today I'll be talking about quick and dirty ways to prove that it's not the network. So you receive a ticket that somebody complains about slowness. Everybody has been there, and we know that more often than not has to do with the user's device, but there's nothing you can do about it. You have no visibility there. Often cases, the application is the culprit that gives a bad user experience. And sometimes it's the network, right? And as network engineers, we need to prove that it is or it's not the network. Another cause can be DNS resolution time, which is not as common, but if it happens, can wreak havoc to everything. So the quick and dirty way to test our network is to do a speed test. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about 6 different speed tests. You see them here in 2 different groups. In green, the top 3 are what I call internet-based speed tests, meaning that the server you use to run your speed test is somewhere in the internet. You don't control, you don't know where it is. The second part is the other 3 tests you can run with on-premise servers. So you have better visibility and better control of what you are testing. And of course, there's a dozen out there, another dozen of tests. Every major telco has their own speed test, Verizon, Comcast. There are a number of mobile devices for free. You can use them if you want, but the principles are more or less the same with what I'm going to be talking about today. Of course, it's very simple what this does. You have a mobile device, you upload a file of certain size to the server, you time how long it takes to do that, and you calculate an Mbps for upload to download, and then you may get also other metrics like latency and jitter. So the first 3, Ookla, Google, Netflix. If you didn't know, Google now offers their own speed test. If you Google speed test, you get this prompt there with a button to run a speed test, right? The first search result is Ookla's speed test, but they hijacked the search results. I guess they can, so why not? So you click the button, you get a number like this. It's the same for all these types of tests. The benefits, of course, is that they are easy, free. Somebody maintains a server somewhere, and it's free for us to use it. You tell your user, hey, go to speedtest.net or Google Speed Test. You click a button, tell me what you see. So the drawbacks are that now, this server you are running your test against, you don't know what it is. You don't know if anybody else is running a test at the same time. You don't know the performance of the server, how well it's maintained. So the metrics you are getting may not be reliable and may not be consistent. Special mention to fast.com by Netflix. So Netflix has a speed test. So if you go to fast.com, as soon as you load the page, the test starts downloading, gives you a number. Some people might find this intrusive, so there's no button to click to, like start the test. But actually, I like it because it's simple. You tell somebody, go to fast.com, tell me what you see. No button to click, right? It cannot be any dumber than that. And it's only download speed, of course, because Netflix cares about streaming, and they just give you a download number. But in most cases, you also care about that as well. So now, if we look at this setup in a little bit more detail, we see that we test this path, right? So from the mobile device, over the wireless network, to the backbone, to the internet, and to a server somewhere out there. What happens if you want to test this, right? You're going to test isolate parts of your network, let's say the Wi-Fi part in this case, or maybe can be a wired part of your network also, right? Same principle. And here's where these 3 other types of tests come in. OpenSpeed test, HTML speed test, and iPerf. Jerry and Scott, we covered actually exactly this use case yesterday with Jerry, Ola, and Scott at the Maker session. I had no idea that we'd be talking about this at that session, but what you are looking at here, it's like 90% covered by that deep dive session. So the first 2, OpenSpeed test and HTML speed test, are also HTML browser-based tests, but you can download the server software, install it on your server on your own premise, and then tell your users or yourself, go to that specific URL with an IP, or if you want to put a DNS there entry, and you click a button, you get an upload, the download speed. Of course, the benefit here is that you have control of the server. You know how many people are running the test at the same time. You maintain the server, and you can get more reliable and accurate measurements. The drawbacks are that you have to do the installation. It doesn't take much, honestly. I mean, I did both of these in, I guess, less than an hour. Take some, you have to set up an Apache server, some PHP, download some software, and boom, you're ready to go, right? But you have to maintain the server, and then, of course, make sure that whatever open source project you use, it's being maintained by the developer. They issue patches, and you update also your software, right, if something needs to be patched. Special mention here also to iPerf. So iPerf is a little bit more complex to set up, but you need to download something, right? You need to download either a GUI client on your machine, or if you're a Linux user, run it on a CLI command. So same principle, you set up two servers, and you send traffic from one to the other, and you get a number from upload and download speed. The benefit is that it's customizable. It gives you like a ton of parameters to play with, TCP window size. You can set up QoS marking, do TCP or UDP traffic, get jitter packet loss, test multicast, right? It's my favorite, personally, right? I mean, as soon as you get used to it, it's very easy to use, and even script. So all the previous tests are a little bit more difficult to script. And when I'm saying scripting, I mean that if you want to do this on a regular basis, like set up a cron job or a bash script to do this like a few times a day and get some baselines, so you have like some kind of history in your performance, it's difficult to do with the previous test. iPerf is already a console utility. You can very easily do it on Linux setup, for example. But the cons are, you have to download something. If you're not a Linux user, you may need to learn how to run a couple of commands, and definitely not suitable for, let's say, non-skilled third-party users like the HTML-based test where you can tell them, hey, go to fast.com, tell me what you see. So, which one should you use, right? I mentioned 6 here. There's a dozen more. My answer is just pick one and be consistent. You'll see that if you run even the same test on the same machine, the same network, one after the other, like now and then in like a minute or so, you get different results. You might see discrepancy, right? And there are bigger differences between different tests. And that depends on how different developers implement their tests, right? However, if you have one, you can have at least what your reference is, and when you know what to expect, what is normal for you. And when you have an issue or you see a delta in the performance, you can go and take a look and investigate further. And this is a comparison table. I sorted here all the tests from the easiest one, netflixfast.com. I think that's the easiest one to do. To the least easy, I won't say iPerf is difficult, but it takes some effort, I admit. But of course, the trade-off there is how much you can customize and how you can, incorporate other features in its test. And the last word about NetBees. So at NetBees, we do network monitoring for wireless and wired networks, and we monitor your networks by using sensors that you can install in your different offices, remote locations, and do exactly what I just described here, like running end-to-end performance testing with speedtest, iPerf, VoIP, HTTP. But of course, the idea is that you might have dozens of sensors, and if you are trying to do this by yourself, like running scripts in a dozen of sensors, log the results, plot them, create statistics, and be cumbersome and difficult, we automate this, make it straightforward, easy to use from a GUI, and manageable. And with that, thank you.